Hello. Okay, so I believe that these points are very current, relatable, and valid in the text when discussing the topic of children's privacy. James touches on the aspect of privacy and how youth perceive in the digital world. Her and Boyd both argue in the text that youth who engage in these social media platforms are aware of the risks and benefits in these spaces that they are participating in. This is very relatable to our everyday lives because, children right now are just so involved with being socially accepted and desired in the media. Our initial concern when we do a posting on Instagram or Twitter is not what the repercussions or the consequences may be, but it's more about the likes, the views, who's going to like it, who's impressed, who's not, when would it go viral, how will it go viral. So it just shows how we are just so addicted to being so socially accepted and involved in the digital world. Both of the texts also emphasize how aware the youth truly are, despite what adults like us may think. That both texts help us to understand how much less naive they are than we think, and that youth culture has evolved so much over the years that children, even at the youngest ages, know about privacy settings, how to block, how to hack, how to do all of these things. So a perfect example is in the James's text, where this 13-year-old kid named Zachary says on page 36, oh yeah, I know all the privacy tricks. So again, it's just crazy, and it just really generates the idea that youth in general do know what they're doing when they're engaging in the digital world. However, in terms of answering the UNCRC and how all these arguments comply with the purpose of the convention, we can see how one may be more anti-UNCRC than the other. In Boyd's chapters, we see a constant theme of agency and youth as social actors in the digital world, Articles 13 and 17, engaging with the digital world. Dana also views media as a platform for empowerment, support, engagement, participation, and even sometimes the notion of acceptance, which is a current reality in youth culture today. But on the other hand, I feel like James's chapter focuses more on just repercussions of privacy violations, the risks of even engaging in the first place in the digital world, and kind of gives off that negative tone throughout the chapter in the sense that, youth are to blame for their actions and need to take responsibility, and doesn't really look at the best interest of the child or to protect the child or guide the child. So that's what I noticed. There's two themes that I wanted to really focus on that scream anti-UNCRC: privacy in your own hands, controlling what you do, and having to serve the consequences that may come from your actions. I see this being very anti-UNCRC because they talk about being protected in the convention, yet, this kind of shines light on the faults of the youth themselves at putting their privacy at risk. It does consider the awareness a bit, but for the most part, not really. Secondly, the privacy at Forsaken, so impossible to obtain privacy online. There's three little things I wanted to mention. So James says in the chapter, the use of age as deception by underage users causes privacy implications. Knowing that privacy is impossible to maintain can lead to youth intentionally trying to invade the privacy of others. And then there's interviews that shared that once you enter that online world, you're basically done for, stating that they will never have privacy as long as they're in that digital world. So I think these three things kind of go against the UNCRC, Article 16, where info can be kept secured. Because again, this can lead to strangers or people that we don't even know having information or access about ourselves, access to information about ourselves. So what can be done about this? I think that in school systems, there should be lessons that are applied and mandatory to teach kids how to navigate through these systems. And instead of having a direct James perspective, very negative perspective, we can change that by Article 3, having the best interest of the child, where they must always be the priority. Article 4, protection of children's rights. So the government needs to look at how they can protect the children both online and offline. And then Article 16, having the right to privacy, so maybe the law will keep their information private online and so that it can't be disposed or shared without their permission.